Book review: The Tell, Oprah's Book Club Memoir by Amy Griffin. Plot summary: Amy Griffin's The Tell is raw, unflinching memoir about the invisible scars we carry and the extraordinary power of confronting our past. New York Times bestseller and Oprah's Book Club pick. This emotionally resonant narrative explores one woman's journey from silence to self-awareness, inviting readers to witness the power of vulnerability, radical honesty, and healing through truth. At first glance, Amy's life appears enviably complete. Raised in Amarillo, Texas, she channels her ambition and athleticism into success at the University of Virginia, then propels herself into vibrant New York City life filled with professional accomplishments, marriage, and motherhood. But behind the seamless facade lies haunting void, one so deeply buried that Amy herself cannot name it. Her constant motion from track fields to city streets masks truth she has never been ready to face. It is quiet, piercing observation from, "Daughter, you're here, but you're not here. Where are you, Mom?" that forces Amy to reckon with the emotional dissociation shadowing her life. What begins as quest to be more present for her child soon unfolds into larger excavation of self. Amy embarks on courageous inward journey, determined to understand why she's been running and what exactly she's been running from. Her exploration of long-suppressed childhood trauma takes her from traditional therapy to the frontiers of psychedelic-assisted healing. Along the way, she delves into the complexities of memory, trauma's elusive fingerprints, and the role of the body in storing unresolved pain. Her willingness to engage with experimental treatments reflects desperation for answers, but also striking openness to alternative paths of healing. Returning to her roots in the Panhandle, Amy confronts both the literal and emotional landscapes of her upbringing. In doing so, she uncovers deeply personal and painful, tells secrets she's kept even from herself. Griffin's recollections ripple with clarity and insight as she pieces together moments that once seemed disconnected, finally forming complete and often heartbreaking picture. Griffin's memoir is not just about uncovering what happened, but also about interrogating the society pressures, especially those facing women, that make hiding pain seem necessary. She asks, when did we begin seeking worth from others instead of cultivating it within ourselves? How do we break free from the culture of perfectionism that silences so many stories? Throughout the tale, Griffin weaves in reflections on the cost of performing happiness, the stigma of trauma, and the resilience it takes to reclaim one's narrative. Her prose is simultaneously delicate and fierce, shaped by years of silence and the hard-won strength to break it. She doesn't offer easy resolutions, but rather suggests that healing is a continuous process, one that begins with the courage to tell the truth. Ultimately, the tale is more than a memoir. It is called a presence map for those navigating the aftermath of buried pain, and testament to the liberating power of facing the past. Amy Griffin emerges not just as survivor, but as guide, showing readers what becomes possible when we stop running and finally come home to ourselves. Book review: Amy Griffin's The Tell is a searing, beautifully crafted memoir that does not merely recount life. It excavates it. New York Times bestseller and the latest pick for Oprah's Book Club, this memoir stands out for its emotional precision, brutal honesty, and unrelenting desire to unravel the hidden stories that shape a person's identity. Through the lens of one woman's reckoning with her past, The Tell offers readers a roadmap for confronting buried trauma and personal truth. From the outside, Griffin's life appears emblematic of success. Raised in Amarillo, Texas, she excelled as student-athlete at the University of Virginia, later carving out thriving life in New York City. She marries, becomes mother, and enjoys professional success. But beneath the sheen of accomplishment lies hollow space, gnawing disconnection she can't name. Her daughter's innocent yet piercing question, "Where are you, Mom?" triggers the memoir's central turning point. It's not just question of presence, it's question of self. Griffin realizes that despite all her outward achievements, she has been emotionally absent, even from herself. The memoir becomes a riveting and intimate journey as Griffin embarks on a quest to uncover the cause of her dissociation. What she discovers is a trauma so deeply suppressed that it has shaped every facet of her existence without her conscious knowledge. In writing The Tell, Griffin does more than share a personal narrative. She constructs a mirror in which many readers, especially women, will see reflections of their own hidden wounds. One of the memoir's greatest strengths is structural and emotional integrity. Griffin writes an elegant, spare prose that avoids the traps of melodrama or over-explanation. She allows space for ambiguity, for memory's distortions, and for the long shadows trauma casts. Her vulnerability is not performative. It's methodical, earned, and quietly powerful. Central to Griffin's healing is her foray into psychedelic-assisted therapy, an emerging field in mental health treatment. Rather than sensational, she describes the experience with restraint and clarity, showing how altered states of consciousness can access long buried memories and emotional truths. This part of the memoir is as much philosophical inquiry as it is personal account, inviting readers to rethink traditional models of healing and consider the complex interplay between mind, body, and memory. Equally compelling is Griffin's confrontation with the legal system. As fragments of her past begin to crystallize, she finds herself entangled in the bureaucratic and ethical labyrinths of justice. The memoir does not pivot into courtroom drama, but it does raise profound questions about how the system responds to survivors of trauma, especially when time, memory, and societal perception complicate the path to justice. But perhaps the most moving element is Griffin's exploration of womanhood, specifically the pressures women face to be perfect, to be composed, to be silent. She questions the cultural conditioning that drives women to seek validation externally, to bury their instincts and wounds in the name of being likable, accomplished, or strong. In doing so, Griffin aligns herself with a growing chorus of feminist memoirists who are reshaping how we talk about female pain and power. In tone, thematic reach, the tale echoes works like Tara Westover's Educated and Chanel Miller's Know My Name, yet Griffin's voice is uniquely her own, gentle but insistent, poetic yet pragmatic. She does not offer easy solutions or self-help platitudes. Instead, she models what it means to live with uncertainty, to confront uncomfortable truths, and to keep moving forward even when the path is unclear. One of the memoir's most poignant motifs is the idea of home, not just as physical location, but as psychological state. Griffin's return to Amarillo is not triumphant reclamation, but necessary reckoning. She re-examines old spaces and relationships, interrogates what she once accepted as truth, and allows herself to grieve the parts of her past that she had to abandon in order to survive. Her journey is not about nostalgia, it's about re-inhabiting self. Griffin's reflections on motherhood are equally affecting. She writes candidly about the guilt and confusion of realizing how her trauma may have shaped her parenting. Rather than wallow, she uses this awareness as fuel for generational healing, modeling kind of parenting that centers honesty, presence, and emotional risk. Her daughter's initial question, "Where are you?" transforms by the memoir's end into something more hopeful. "Here I am." The title of the tale refers both to subtle signal, slip, giveaway, and to deliberate active disclosure. It's brilliant double entendre that encapsulates the memoir's tension between what is hidden and what is revealed. Griffin masterfully navigates this tension, revealing just enough to keep the reader engaged while honoring the complexity of her story. As a cultural artifact, the tale arrives at a moment when memoir is undergoing a renaissance. In a world increasingly dominated by curated social media personas and bite-sized narratives, Griffin's long-form exploration of truth-telling feels radical. It reminds us that healing is not instantaneous, that stories take time to unfold, and that courage often looks like whisper rather than a roar. In the end, the tale is not just about one woman's trauma. It's about what becomes possible when we stop performing, stop running, and start to the stories our bodies, memories, and relationships are trying to tell us. Amy Griffin has written memoir that is as much gift as it is guide, one that will resonate with anyone who has ever struggled to name their pain or find their way back to themselves. Verdict: Amy Griffin's The Tale is stunning memoir. Elegant, vulnerable, and profoundly moving. With lyrical prose and psychological insight, Griffin invites readers on a journey of rediscovery that challenges societal norms around perfection, silence, and survival. Must read for fans of deep, soul-bearing narratives. The tale is both literary triumph and life-affirming experience.